Hey everyone, what's going on?
Hey guys.
It's Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Yeah, Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. I hope everyone's having a wonderful time with their moms. And I thought, it's Mother's Day, so I guess me and Jason were thinking, what better thing to talk about than
Mother.
Mother, yeah. So yeah, we got some other merchandise here, and we're just going to talk about the franchise because it really is it's a meaningful game for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I've actually never played any of the Mother series, or Earthbound, as they like to call it in America.
Earthbound has changed the name.
Yeah, so...
Earthbound, yeah.
Weird, but cool.
Yeah.
So, Brett, I'm wondering, man, as someone who is a huge fan of the franchise, can you tell me a little bit about Mother and Earthbound?
Yeah. So, Mother is originally was released on the Famicom. So that was one of the I guess it's like an RPG that was more modeled after real life rather than like a fantasy setting. So like you had Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. Mother chose to go in a different direction. So they wanted to be more like an RPG where you play as a kid. You eat burgers instead of like that's your power-ups and like gives you health and whatnot. And that was like the goal of the game, is to make it kind of more like real life rather than a fantasy setting.
So you're telling me there's like no fairies in it?
There ain't no fairies, yeah. Well, actually,
fairies.
there's supernatural things in Earthbound. That's a cool thing. It's kind of like a combination of like it's like sci-fi B movies. Like you can kind of see like the very like it's like a classic, almost like, I guess the closest thing you can think about it is like Stranger Things. So it's very like the kids going on adventures, supernatural things happen, and just fun ensues. And then it's about the characters and the journey. And the first Mother game, it was very difficult actually. There's some parts in the game that get pretty hectic, but overall the story's really fun. It's really well made, and then like the characters are fun to interact with, and they have so many lovable characters. One of them is Ninten, who is very similar to Ness, who many of you may know from the Super Smash Bros.
Get
series.
the reference.
Get the reference. So yeah, you got NESS. Put that S at the end at the beginning. You got SNES. Ninten is obviously named after Nintendo. Mm-hmm. But it's weird because it was on the Famicom. It was never on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yeah,
so
it's kind of weird.
Yeah,
but Nintendo's still the name of the company.
That's
so
true. They should call them Famico or something. Famico. It's, I guess, too Italian though. It's like Famico. So they ended up. The characters were really fun. So with like Lloyd, when you first you're introduced to him, he basically says, "Don't hurt me. I like you. Okay, let's be friends." And then that's kind of like the theme of the movie. It's very like a hero's journey where it's like you make friends along the way and you just have an adventure and meet crazy sci-fi creatures. Like there's wolves that'll attack you. There's like robots. Like cars, it's crazy. All the things that come at you.
That's pretty cool though, because then you get like a sense of like, well, there's still real life danger because a wolf is something that could suck in real life.
Yeah.
And then a robot, which is pretty awesome.
Pretty surreal. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's one of the cool things about it. It's the blend. I think the thing that really speaks to people is that it's a nice blend between like fantasy and reality, and that line gets blurred. And it's also like, which is interesting because it's told from the perspective of a child. So children usually feel safe and secure, but like in a lot of these dangerous settings, they're like, oh God, like. It gets violent, these games. Like they're like
that's actually a good question. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, you're good.
If it gets violent, what's like your main weapon in these
games? Ness is that's the best part about this. They all fight with like mundane household objects. Like and for Earthbound, Ness fights with a baseball bat. Same with Ninten.
Mundane, man. Dude, I'd hate to get my head back.
Boom! Yeah. And it's like the crack bat is like one of the fun ones, and they have like a yo-yo.
Okay.
Yo-yo doesn't have as good accuracy. I believe slingshot is a weapon. Okay. That's like a projectile, and so each character has their own set of weapons. Ness usually chooses like sports and toys. Paula, she chooses mostly, I guess it would be like frying pans and like that kind of stuff. So like that blunt force trauma from that would be pretty painful.
Especially if it was like a cast iron.
Oh yeah, cast iron skillet. Yeehaw! She's like, you don't want to piss off Paula. She's like, and on top of that, like you have another character, Pooh, who opts not to have any weapons at all. He just uses his bare fist. He's this little guy right here.
Well, the name Pooh.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna beat the poo out of you if you look at him funny. And then we got Jeff is he's an interesting character. I guess the closest parable or character similarities, he's like the Rock Lee of the group, in meaning that he doesn't have any supernatural abilities, where they all have some form of psychic powers. Like Ness is telepathic, Paul is telepathic, so is Pooh. Jeff does not, so he has to use his mind in a different way. He uses his ability to craft and make weapons. So he has like a little airsoft gun, and then he has like bottle rockets. So he makes all those things himself because he's like a really smart kid. Just doesn't have psychic powers, but he's still a very valuable asset to the team. So that's why I think he's very close to Rock Lee from Naruto, is where he doesn't have chakra, but he still finds his way to like use his energy or his abilities. So he's a great character, and actually one of my favorite. He's very he's like Lloyd from the first game. So which is actually funny because I think another reason why people really like the Mother series is they love to find how it might connect together. And one of the many people say like the Ness is the son of Ninten and Anna from the first game. So that's the boy and girl character from the first game.
But does it say how far in the future Earthbound is compared to Mother 1?
So yeah, Earthbound takes place in, it's like a typical video game where it's 1990X. So it takes place in 1990X. Whereas,
which is only a 10-year thing. So
So then Mother, the first game, takes place in 1980X. So doing the math, it is possible that it could very well be, because Ness is 13, so it would be like if the X represents 9, and then the first X represents 0, that's 19 years, so there's very possibility if they had them young. So
yeah, well even at 13, because you could have kids at 18.
Yeah, there was that show Teen Mom. They had kids. The little girls having kids.
Troubling.
Yeah, and she's like, he better pay child support, like that and stuff all day. Nice. Spider senses tingling. Yeah, so it's very possible that the story is connected. One of the fun things is one of the characters from Earthbound, Dr. Andonuts. He's basically very similar to Jeff. And he actually looks like Lloyd for the first game, so people think that Lloyd is the son of Jeff. So it could, Jeff is Lloyd's son. And that, it's possible. It's like there's nothing that says that it couldn't be. Any of this is true because this world is like full of like fun little connections. The only sad thing is that in Earthbound, you only talk to your dad through the phone. You never see him. He's always the phone. Even at the end, minor spoiler, when you see like the curtain call credits where you see all the characters, like you see like all the characters when they say "and father," it just shows the phone because that's all you ever see. He wasn't present most of the game. It's very mother centric.
So that's I guess a good question. Like, where does the name Mother come from, and why was it changed to Earth?
So that's actually a really good question. There was I guess Mother comes from the John Lennon song. I think it's John Lennon or one of the Beatles. And Shigetaka Itoi really liked that song, and he wanted to name a game after. Name a game something different than like you would typically hear from a game. Like a game called Mother doesn't sound like, what is this about? Like childbirth or something like that? Like raising children, or like because like it doesn't sound like a game. It just sounds like it sounds like a movie. Like there actually was a movie, the Jennifer Lawrence movie.
Was the word Mother though? Was that like tied into the game at all? Outside of just being named after a John Lennon?
Nah, well, not really actually. I mean, like other than the fact that your mother is a huge point of the game. Earthbound, especially, is there's a status ailment called homesickness, and so you have to call your mother. So that's the main key. Is this kind of relationship between the son, kind of almost like leaving the nest, going on his own adventure, and like being his own person.
Cool.
So mother. It barely ties into the game. There's some thematics that I'm sure like people have elaborated the connectivity of it. But honestly, if I was to be 100% honest, I think I love the title Mother. Earthbound just feels more like an adventure game.
I was about to say you're right. I mean, that's again someone who hasn't played the game. It's like Earthbound.
I am Earthbound. I'm an RPG.
What does this mean?
Earthbound.
Earthbound. Yeah, boy. Represent Super NES love.
And isn't like They're like spaceships and aliens, sort of.
So they play a smaller part. It is actually Earthbound takes place predominantly on Earth. So yeah, the aliens are Earthbound. So basically, I guess I could sum up the plot without a big spoiler. So for the plot of Earthbound, basically the idea is that Gygas from the first game, he's returned to basically wreak havoc upon the Earth, and the future is completely awful. So it's kind of like, if you guys remember, like Kyle Reese in the Terminator, like coming from the future and like, oh, this warning of doomsday, like very like, oh, there's something big happening and we have to stop it. Or like Trunks from Dragon Ball Z, like the androids are coming. The androids are coming. It's kind of like that. There's a bee called Buzz, and he basically comes from the future, and he says, in the future, basically Gygas comes back, and then the whole world's in darkness, and we need, the prophecy has told that 3 boys and a girl will set us free and save the world from this terrible fate.
Very specific.
Yeah, very specific, and it's like, so it's obviously like the main cast of characters, which you actually meet ahead of time. So you actually, what you do is when you name the characters at the very beginning of the game. So when you start up the game, it tells you to name the characters. Oh. So you would be like Ness. The default names are Ness, Paula, Jeff, and Pooh. Secondary names, you can name them whatever you want, though, so you can have lots of fun. The Japanese version, I can't remember if the English version does it, but the Japanese version does name, Ness's name is John, after John Lennon, and then Paula is Yoko, after Yoko Ono, who is his wife, and then Jeff, I forgot who he was. He was either George or... Ringo was the dog, funnily enough. Yeah, so Ringo was the dog, is his secondary name. And then Pooh, I guess who's the only Beatle I didn't mention? George Harrison, Paul McCarthy. So either one of those, I can't remember which one is Paul.
Well, you think you would have named Yoko Ono, that should have been Pooh.
yeah, that makes sense.
Come on now.
Yeah, come on now, let's be real. Yeah, honestly, if I was to be really sassy, I would like, in her voice, she'd be named after the dog.
That's what
I went there! Some people like her. I don't think she's a bad person, but her voice is awful. She ruined the Beatles, so yeah. And Paula did anything but ruin the Earthbound squad. She held it together, so I do definitely believe she should be called George. So it's such a surreal kind of experience to like play Mother. But I think the thing, like the plot is the thing that I think is either the most interesting or the least interesting, depending on how much you're into that kind of stuff. I love it. I think it's fun. It's so hard to explain. It's one of those things you just have to experience for yourself. And it's just because like it's not as like clear cut as like with Pokemon, where you can explain and be like, oh, you catch monsters in the ball and become a champion. It's very easy. Earthbound has like similar elements where it's like actually the Nest sanctuaries always reminded me of gym battles, like in a way, because each sanctuary has been invaded by some kind of monster. Like the first one is like this giant rodent dude that you have to fight. Then there's one that's like in the shape of an ant. And then there's various different enemies you fight throughout the game, all of these sanctuaries. And then once you beat the Sanctuary Guardian and you become the master of the Sanctuary, all the enemies of that dungeon basically like are afraid of you. They don't want to mess with you, so they're always running away. Like when we were playing a little bit, like those enemies that like don't want to fight you because they're way stronger. They know when enemies know they can't beat you, they don't even try to fight you. They're just like run. So they're like, see you later. And that's the kind of cool thing about the game, though. Yeah.
So then my next question is, all right, so we had Mother, which was only released in Japan. Then we got Mother 2, or Earthbound, which we got one port in Japan, one in America. But then it looks like we have a Game Boy Advance one called Mother 3.
Yes.
So never came out in the U.S.?
Never came out in the U.S., so the only way you can get it is actually courtesy of Clyde Mandolin, was the head translator. Yeah. Who wrote this book here. He also did this. We also have he did the... that's the Legends of Localization Volume 2. This one is specifically goes over Earthbound. He was actually a huge fan. I believe he was one of the creators of Starman.net, which was one of the big Mother sites that was like the source of all information.
Starman. So who's Starman?
Starman is this guy, the guy in the box. Yeah, he's
the silver dude.
So he's so Starman's the silver man, and there's also the Super Starman, which is the golden one. Okay. And he's just one of the powerful foes. The first major battle you fight too.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And he translated Mother 3, so that's like, thank God he did, because otherwise there would be no other way to play it for American audiences, because there's no access to they didn't sell this in America, unfortunately.
Yeah. So unless you know Japanese.
Yeah, unless you know Japanese, there's no. You're too. It's too bad. But luckily that that they translated that anyone can play it and have a good time. So I think that was important.
Right.
Yeah.
So. Dang, dude. It seems like you know way more about this game than I even do my wife. Like, it seems like you really like this, man.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, what does this game mean to you? And maybe even to make it more broad, like, what does this game mean to, like, society and the game culture?
Yeah. So it's so hard. Yeah, it's a great question, and I think it's like it has probably different meanings. Like if you ask me, it's going to be one answer. You got another someone else is going to have a different answer. But I think the thing that unifies all the answers together to make one kind of coherent like opinion about this franchise is there's something just so cozy about this game. It just feels like it's like it's funny to think how much of a cultural impact it has. Like the creators of South Park like this game.
You know, Mother was one that I really loved because Mother was this little RPG where you were a kid and it started in your backyard in this UFO land, and it just felt like, oh, I'm a kid running around and doing my thing, and oh, I'm gonna fight this rat. You know, it wasn't like, oh, okay, I'm this huge death demon knight and I'm fighting this giant. You know, things were very grounded, which I like.
Toby Fox, the creator of Undertale, hugely influenced by Earthbound. And then you see games like Citizens of Earth, which was a really fun game where you, in an Earthbound setting, where you basically make friends with the citizens of Earth to just stop the evildoers. And so I think the big cultural impact of the game is that the fact that it's a cozy, warm game that has very optimistic messages. There's one part in the game that in Earthbound, which I absolutely love, is where you sit down and just take a moment to appreciate how far you've gotten in the game. Not many games do that.
Yeah. What do they do? I'm curious.
So Mr. Saturn, the little tiny squishy dude, he says, all right, have a seat, we're gonna have some coffee. And then like all it is a blue screen, just relaxing music and text that just say, you got this far. And basically goes over like life gets hard. Some things it's hard to see things to the end, but the fact that you made it to this point is impressive in and of itself. And so stuff like that, really optimistic, like warm, like positive.
Really nice.
Yeah, I really like that. It's like, and I think that comes from the fact that it's like Shigesato Itoi, and that wasn't necessarily came from like a video game developing standpoint. He just like wanted to make an interesting story. It's almost like an interactive novel in a lot of ways, where it's like, because like, although the fights are fun. It's almost like it's people rarely hype up just like the fight mechanics of Earthbound. It's more like the overall impression of it. So it's hard to say exactly what I like about it, but I think the thing that really hits home for me is it's that game when I I turned 18 and I first played it. And I didn't think much of it at first, and I was like, this game is terrible. And it's like, and it was honestly, I'll be honest, I was skipping a lot of the dialogue. I was just like, okay, let's get to the next part, let's get to the next boss. I just want to play the game. And little did I know that was the game. That whole the interaction, talking to the dogs. You can talk to dogs in this game, and dogs are like, oh, thanks for talking to me. You can talk to an old lady. You can talk to some random people. It's very it's very explorative, and it's like interactive, and it's like you end up wanting to talk to everyone because everyone says something funny.
Another great RPG on the Super Nintendo, Chrono Trigger. One of my favorite parts of that game is like they're all just sitting around the campfire. In the forest.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just remember like when I was playing the game, I looked at that scene and I'm just like, I just felt so relaxed.
Yeah,
like I'm kind of getting the same like
100%. I think that's actually. I think that's why that might be. Maybe that's why those two games are the most beloved yet most expensive games on the console. It's like it is. It's actually one of my favorite parts, and that's one of the parts that sticks out of Chrono Trigger. It just speaks volumes to like how well the pacing is of these two games, where you can be like, okay, we're having a lot of fun, and now here's a little slow moment, and it's just like. It's great storytelling. That's what I think it comes down to. It's just like it takes you to the narrative and it gives you relaxation for the next chapter. And so
and I suppose also too it gives you like this connection to those characters because like you realize that like it's not just like a go game. Like this is a journey, and so you feel more connected with them.
Absolutely,
Everybody in a journey also has to take a moment to relax and recharge. And I sometimes make a joke. Sometimes people will come in here like, "Hey, man, you're doing great, dude. You're doing." And I'm like, I'll make the joke. I'm like, "Man, I need you to follow me around and tell me that." I need that.
It's funny. No, it's actually, and there's like literally characters like that in Earthbound that will like give you like hands and like high fives and like you're doing great, man. There's a part where like the world's about to end, and then you kind of think about all those characters that are like going to be killed, and it's like it makes you want to fight for them even more.
Yeah.
So it's like if I fail, all these people that I love and that they were cheering me on and believed in me and like were so supportive, like the pizza lady will die, or the pizza delivery guy will die. The one kid was the Apple kid who makes inventions, and then Jeff's family, Nessa's mom, his father, like if we fail, the telephone will die. Yeah. And then his sister, the dog, everyone, and it's like all the people you hold dear, their lives are in danger if you fail. So it makes you want to beat that level. It's like this.
We got this.
Whoopsie, like drop the F-bomb. Yeah. And so but it's just like I want to get this guy. I want to beat Gigas and just like put him in his stupid place, because it's like he's trying to. Not only is he. It's like that moment in Spider-Man where like they start throwing trash at the Green Goblin. You're like, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
Yeah, he was like that. And it's like that's actually one of my favorite moments in Earthbound is actually that the all hope is lost moment is this is a big spoiler, so I'll skip to this time code if you don't want to hear this. But basically, so there'll be a little number. Skip to that time. Basically, the all hope is lost. Are you okay with the spoiler too? I don't want to. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just want to make sure.
I'll probably forget it.
All hope is lost. Giga is kicking your ass, and no matter if you're level 100, if you're level 50, it doesn't matter. You're not going to win this fight. And it's like almost like a story beat, but you don't know that when you're playing the game.
Sure. You're just like,
and you're like, shit, I can't beat him, and then it's like knockout. Pooh's dead. Ness is using all his psychic attacks. It's so sad he can't do it. There's one option. It's called pray. And it's just like, pray, please. And it's so heartwarming. I think this is the moment that like, where people are like, oh my God, I love this game. And it's just like, you pray. And then you just pray. And what happens is the people from the game, they give you they pray with you. So all the people you met along the journey, they start giving their energy in like a spirit bomb kind of thing from like Dragon Ball Z. And then it's like, it's just like, put your hands in the air kind of moment. And you're just like, pray, please. And then Paula's saying, it's Paula doing the narration. So she's just like, please, people of Earth, we need your power, we need your energy, we need you to help us beat this foe. And then you see it cuts to all the people that you met on the journey, and it's so sweet. And you see like they're like, oh, they need our help, and so all the people that you helped out, they help you out. So it's a very kind of like I don't know what that altruistic kind of like reality. I was like, well, I was nice to them, wasn't asking for anything in return, but because now that I need them. And then like this is like this community coming together to defeat like the evil of like humanity, and it's so beautiful because then it's like you do your attacks and then they start doing damage because it's weakening. Mm-hmm. And Gigas, he doesn't know how to process this kindness. It's like so he's just like, what's going on here? And it's like because he has like a soul of pure darkness, wouldn't know how to understand compassion. So. One of the greatest moments in video game history, and I think it's like you play that.
Statement.
Yeah, I would say like absolutely. It's like there's so many wonderful moments in video game history, but never have I been so like attached to these characters. Like probably like first time I played it was like 1 a.m. and just like I gotta beat this game, and then you're just like oh shit, this is like serious, and then you're like you feel for these characters. It's so beautiful. Damn. So I think that's another part of the game that's just like. If you don't like the game by then, it's probably not the game for you.
You made it pretty far, so
you might as well beat it. Just pray. Yeah.
Well, you know what's interesting too, and this is just like a weird sidebar, but it's really great that they released it on the Wii U because that's like a cool way to be able to play the game.
Yeah.
I think it was like maybe 2 years ago or something like that. Someone in Seattle found the Earthbound, or I should say the Mother 1 prototype NES.
Oh, really? I didn't know about that. Yeah, so really cool.
If I remember correctly, it was found at a garage sale.
Ooh.
And so. You know, I don't know if they ever dumped it or like I don't remember the follow-up. It was a couple years back, but it is pretty cool that it was out there. I mean, this game was set to release in the US.
So close. So yeah, they had the translation done. So that's the port they used for the Wii U is the same one that was probably on that ROM. I mean, it's like because at the they had Earthbound Zero, they called it for the longest time. Okay. But then when they officially changed it, it was Earthbound Beginnings. They didn't change a single line of text because it was all done. But I think the reason why they didn't release it because it just, I guess, what was it? It was just towards the end of the lifespan.
Well, the Super Nintendo was already out.
Super Nintendo was already out, so at that point it was just like, well, might as well just put all our energy into the next game.
Yeah.
And so they chose Earthbound, which probably was a smarter decision at the time. I'm actually, honestly, out of those two games, I'm glad they brought Earthbound over instead of Mother 1. Mother 1's a great game, but there are moments where it feels like it could have been polished a little more. Sure. So Earthbound's the one that people usually talk about, even though you're missing the origins of Gigas. It doesn't really matter because it's like
it doesn't detract from the story.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, it's just like how many games, the first installments of a game it mentioned an ancient evil that's returned. It's like you never need to actually play the first one. Right. Like Melbu Frama from Dragoon is essentially an ancient evil that returns, and there is like it's almost like there's a story that we never got to play. And it doesn't matter.
Make a Legend of Dragoon remake.
Yeah, Legend of Dragoon. The side note, make that.
Not bad. I'm taking you with me.
Sony,
Sony.
You got at least you'll get at least $120 for the two of us.
Oh,
like
dude, I'll probably buy like 3 copies.
I'm having a collector's edition even. That'd be nice.
Yeah. And so with a series like this, like there has to be a collectability aspect. And if you look,
I think I forgot.
We have a giant Super Nintendo box. We have
the Super Famicom.
We have a Game Boy Advance. We have a Game Boy Advance Mother 3. Game Boy Micro.
Where did you get that from anyway? That was really cool.
I bought someone's collection a year ago, and they just had a massive amount of stuff, and this was one of the items in it.
Nice.
So this is one thing I know maybe a lot about that, so I could maybe talk about more.
Yeah.
It's so the collectability aspect of that is so you look at a game like Earthbound, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of variables in this, but let's just assume this is complete in box, which means that it has the box, it has the game, it has the strategy guide. In this specific case, the strategy guide, which is a honker. The strategy guide has the
scratch and sniff. Ooh. the stinkies.
And it again, condition dependent. This game right here could go anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 plus. So if this box, it's not in bad shape, but it's not in perfect shape either.
Yeah.
In perfect shape, you might get that 3,000 plus, but in this condition, you might get 1,500 for it.
Pretty cool.
That's a lot of money for a video game.
It's crazy to think.
Crazy amounts. But on the flip side of that, you look at say Mother 2, which is the Super Famicom version, and I mean, I think
I overpaid honestly. It was like $65.
$65.
Yeah.
So, same exact game. Price is 15 times different.
It's crazy to think. Yeah,
it's a massive difference.
It's amazing.
Fortunately, you bought this game in 2009?
2008, actually. Yeah.
Oh,
so 2000. Yeah. No, you were close. Yeah. That's actually. So that was when I was getting really into retro game collecting, and one of the games that was top of my list was that and Chrono Trigger. I saw Chrono Trigger. This is embarrassing. I saw that for $50, and I was just like, I lost the auction, and I was like, there'll be another one, and I kept on saying that there will be another one. There'll be another one. But you gotta be aggressive. I think when it comes to certain things, it's like if you see it, just buy it.
If it's what you want, get it.
Yeah, and I was aggressive with this one. This was the one where I was like, I saw it for an auction, and I was just like. It was actually really fun bid war where it's just bidding. He's like, it was at because it was $90 in the end. I paid for it.
$90.
$90, yeah. So it was like some guy was like 60. I was like 65, and he was just like 68. And I was like, oh, 75. And then at the very last second, I think this was before they had where you can actually set a limit.
Sure.
So you can just go away from your keyboard just in case something I'll pay up to $800 for this or something like that. So I waited till the very last second. I was like, the counter was happening. It was like 10, 9, 8, and I was just like 90 really quick. And then it was just the guy slept on it, and then I was like, you won the auction.
You're hot dog.
Woo! Yeah, so I was super aggressive with this one, so I was super excited, and that was actually, I think also another reason why I love this is because that story is attached to it. So
that's a really awesome story, especially when it's a come up like that. Maybe at the time it wasn't a come up, but you fast forward. What is that? 11 years later.
11 years. Yeah.
12 years.
Oh crap! Wow, time is trying. 13 years because it's 2021.
Oh yeah,
so 13 is.
I can't do math.
Time. No, you're good. Time keeps on slipping into the future. Steve Miller Band. I love it.
All right, cool. So now we got Earthbound. We got. Even just the cartridge by itself is going, depending on the time, condition,
that cartridge.
That goes anywhere from $200 to $300.
It's crazy,
sometimes more. I think right now it's actually trending on the higher side, so 300 plus.
It's how high is it going to get eventually?
I mean, you never know.
That's
how low can it go?
How low can it go? Yeah, they find a warehouse full of Earthbound boxes. That would be crazy.
Now, what about this one right here, the Mother 3
So
on the Game Boy Advance?
funny thing, I actually got this from Jason. So I've been
right,
wanting.
you did get
Yeah,
this
so
from
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was actually the day we were filming the. If you guys watched the Channel 7 Localist news piece,
Oh, that's
it was
right.
the very same day. So I saw that and I was like, "Woo, it looks good!" And I was like, "How much do you want for this?" He gave me a really great deal. And then I got the little thing inside. Yeah, and
It's actually in the system.
yeah, that's right. And yeah, so I think that's the. You got this one too, which is really cool.
Yeah, so this is the last thing we'll talk about as far as items over here. So this guy right here is a Game Boy Micro, which Game Boy Micros are already pretty uncommon as it is. They didn't sell very well in the States or Japan, but the screens on them are absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
They have like a 101 screen in it. This one, the faceplate is Mother 3. Man, this thing, the video is probably not doing it justice. It's really beautiful piece.
Yeah, we can get a close up later too.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
to make
definitely
sure,
will.
those pickup shots, so that way they can appreciate it better.
And this box set, it comes with like a Mother 3 pouch for your micro. It came with the game, manuals, all that kind of good jazz, and then an enamel pin.
The Franklin badge, the Franklin badge. So
what is the Franklin badge?
Franklin badge, named after Benjamin Franklin, founding father. It prevents all lightning damage and directs it towards back at your opponent. So it's like a
cool feature.
It's like a mirror force. It's boom right in your face. And it comes in great handy against anyone who loves to spam electrical attacks. So
Yep. So that's pretty cool. And so this deluxe box, if I remember correctly, you can only get this through Club Nintendo of Japan. It wasn't for the US. So I mean, these are pretty uncommon. Prices for these vary. Last time I looked, it was going anywhere from like $700 to $900, which that's a lot of money for an item.
that's crazy.
But
So we do have a shit ton of like expensive stuff on the table.
It's a very expensive little pile.
Yeah,
right
this
here.
is expensive. Yeah, it's like. Yeah.
Well, Brett, thank you so much for sharing all this with me.
Thank you too. I'm glad. I hope that you're somewhat interested in maybe trying it out.
Hey, I'm more excited than I've ever been
Yeah.
about the game.
Okay.
So.
I know. I've done my job. So on behalf of the Earthbound community, I'm like, I have to go now. My home planet needs me. And it's like, and then Brett died on his way home to his own planet. But yeah, I'm glad. I hope you enjoy this game when you get a chance to play it.
Oh, see, I have to work on it now.
And you can play them in any order, honestly. Some people start with 3, some people start with 1.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's no wrong. That's another thing. There's no wrong way to play them, and you can play them in any order.
Cool.
Sweet.
All right. Well, hey, thanks, guys.
And Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
I gotta quit now, because it's getting kinda long, so this will be the ending of my Earthbound song.